Hello everyone and welcome to Cambridge Global English Book 5. Thank you for Abdulaziz Al-Harbi and Mishal Al-Shehri for their interaction. They were really great concerning the last video. Today inshallah we are going to deal with Unit 7 Lesson 3. These are the things you need to learn by the end of this lesson. You are going to listen, order and complete notes, listen for clues, make a presentation, make notes for a presentation, give opinion, and we are going to study whereas. Do you remember what you read and learned about in ancient Egypt in lesson 2? Can you tell me what other ancient civilizations you would like to learn about? Give yourself time, pause the video, try to answer these two questions, try to remember everything about ancient Egypt in lesson 2, and think of other civilization you need to learn about.
Togas. Toga. A toga is a piece of clothing which was worn by the ancient Romans. Tunics. Tunic. A tunic is a sleeveless garment that is worn on the top part of your body. Sandals. Sandal. A sandal is a light shoe consisting of a sole held on the foot by thongs, straps, etc. Merchant. Merchant. A merchant is a person whose business is buying and selling goods for profit. Trader, especially one in the wholesale trade who deals with foreign countries.
Here I want you to concentrate on the CH. It's said as ch. This symbol is a phonetic symbol. It's sh, sh, sh. If it's preceded by C, ch, so the ch is gonna be ch, like ch. I advise you that whenever you find a new word, you are going to divide it into syllables. For example, you are gonna start the first syllable as m or mer, we are speaking American, and chant. It seems like a chant if it's on its own, but because it's part of a word, it's the ending syllable of merchant, so it's gonna be the sound is gonna be schwa. So merchant, a merchant. All right. So again, if you want to build, you can build it from the right, chant, merchant. All right.
Whereas. Whereas. You use whereas to introduce a comment which contrasts with what is said in the main clause.
Whereas this grammar, it means contrast. Contrast means that the second sentence or a clause, it gives a different thing from the main clause or the main sentence. For example, here we say, I like to go swimming, whereas my son likes to run. So they are different. A square has 4 sides. 4, okay, whereas a triangle has 3. So they are different. If we say, people say fries in America, whereas in Britain they call them chips. So here you find that the second clause, the second one like this one, is different from the first one. Speaking. This is a real speaking activity. How are we going to do it online? Yes, you are going to pause the video, try to speak about everyday life in your town. If you are from Jeddah, you are going to speak about everyday life in Jeddah. I mean in normal days, not these days. I hope that we become safer, inshallah. All right. Talk about these everyday life items, you know, for example, the clothes, food, houses, jobs, pets, entertainment. You are going to speak about them. So again, you are going to focus on these aspects. You are going to take your time you can record your video, you can speak to someone, a friend or one of your family about it. Also, I recommend that you write some notes because you may need it, alright, in this lesson. To help you imagine the personal life of the Romans, watch this video about a Roman path. So, after you finish speaking, you are going to watch this video.
We've arrived at the Roman baths. This bathhouse is one of the best preserved ancient sites in Europe. It was actually started in about 70 AD, and then over the course of the next 300 years it was built up. So if you look down here, you can see where the actual bath structure is. So this line right here is the original ruins, and then you can see how they've kind of built up on top of that to create the structure that you see today. And then actually over here, these are the streets of Bath, just right over there. So you can see that this street level is much higher than the actual level of the baths over there. These statues here that are lining this terrace area were actually built after they discovered the ruins and started excavating them in the 1800s when they opened them to the public. They wanted to make it look more Roman, so these are a bunch of Roman figures like Julius Caesar over there and Claudius, both of whom apparently invaded England at one point or another. You can see over here they had these are the ruins that were there, and then they kind of built up what it might have looked like on top of it, so you can kind of get a sense of what this room is actually like. That's pretty neat. This is the overflow from the sacred spring. It goes into here and then flows down into the river. It's real warm though. You can feel the heat emanating from it. It's pretty cool.
Nice. I don't want to leave.
But when you come out here, this is not what you would have seen 2,000 years ago. Because 2,000 years ago, there was a roof up there. The Victorians decided against the roof up there, which they were actually asked to put in. But because there wasn't enough money, the roof went. And it's because of the Victorians creating this open-air terrace that we have got our green water. The sunlight encourages the algae to grow, and that is what is green in the water.
Now with activity 2, the word study ancient Rome. Look at the picture of everyday life in ancient Rome. How is it different from your town? Look at it. Do you have the same things you see here in this picture in Jeddah? Do you see some gladiators like these in Jeddah? Of course you are not gonna see them. The people here in Jeddah, are they wearing the same clothes? Anyway, so you are going to speak about how different your town from ancient Rome. What words below can you find in the picture? If you are not sure about a word, then you are going to listen to a presentation that is coming, inshallah. So now we have these words and we have the picture. Alright, just make it bigger somehow. Oh, like this. So as you hear, the togas, tunics, bread, sandals, olives, meat, bath, chariot, gladiator, farmer, soldier, merchant, engineer, villas. So take your time and try to find the words and their pictures. Okay, you can have some examples here in your activity book, page 18. We are going to answer them together. Okay, take your time first, look at the pictures and the words, try to match them, and then come back to me. Now, we are going to answer them. T-shirt, hamburger. Concerning the hamburger, I want you just to care about this. When you go to Britain or UK or even the USA, you need to be careful when you are saying hamburger. You need to say beef burger, because if you say ham, I think that kind of meat they are gonna serve you will not like ever. So say beef burger, or just in Saudi Arabia you can say burger or hamburger, still you are going to have beef burger. Alright, car, jeans, and the vesper boots, house, tunic, olives, buck's chariot, sandals, villa. Now take this strategy that will help you listen for clues. Either listen for words that you already know, check the meaning of words you don't understand, or don't try to understand everywhere, be selective. So these three strategies, which of them are going to help you listen for clues? Yes, listen for words that you already know and don't try to understand every word, and be selective. And now we are going to have the listening strategy. Also in the learner's book, page 101. Okay, listening for words that you already know can help you complete an activity, as we said. So you are going to listen now. Remember that you are going to order these parts, alright? So listen carefully.
Track 40.
Part 1.
Today, I'm going to talk about life in ancient Rome. First of all, I'm going to describe the houses in ancient Rome. Most people lived in apartment buildings in noisy, narrow streets, but rich people lived in big, beautiful homes. The very early Romans wore togas. They looked like a white sheet. Togas were arranged very carefully, in a stylish way. The Romans didn't like togas because they were difficult to wear and they were cold. So they changed to more comfortable tunics, which looked like long t-shirts. They were far more practical. Roman boys wore a tunic down to their knees. Roman girls wore a simple tunic with a belt at the waist. When they went outside, they wore a second tunic that reached their feet. There were lots of different jobs in Rome. The people who lived in the country were usually farmers, and they made food for the people who lived in the city. In the city, there were craftsmen who made dishes, jewellery, and weapons, and the more educated Romans who were teachers or engineers. Many men were part of the Roman army. Typical food in ancient Rome was bread, beans, fish, dried fruit, vegetables, and cheese. Poor Romans didn't eat a lot of meat, but they did eat some very strange things such as mice and snails. Entertainment was very popular in ancient Rome, and most events were free. The Romans liked chariot racing and watching plays in amphitheatres. The Romans also loved bathing and usually visited the local public baths once a day. There were about 900 public baths in ancient Rome.
Okay, and now talk about the differences and similarities between life in ancient Rome and life in your own city or your own town. You remember the notes you wrote in activity 1? You can use them now. This is a speak and listen, so as I told you, you are going to compare the two, the life in the two cities, and the Roman one and yours. You can use whereas and to both. You can use the three. Alright? Take your time and come back to me. Open your activity book at page 18. Complete these sentences using words from activity 1. Use whereas and to compare and contrast. Okay? So now take your time reading the 5. Try to answer them. There is no exact correct answer. Whatever answer you say here, it's okay. I'm gonna accept it because I expect that answers are gonna be different. All right. Okay, we are back. So the Roman ate what? Yes, they ate olives. Okay, whereas I eat, you can write anything you eat. The Romans lived in villas, whereas I live in. Just write the place where you live. the other two of the last slide. Page 80 is gonna be for homework. Now let's go to the learner's book, page 101. Listen to the part 2 of the presentation. Okay, so you are, but before you listen to the presentation, I want you to read the 5, and this is one of the best strategies you do before listening. Read the questions. That's why when you listen, you are going to listen for a purpose, just not only listening. For example, number 1, the Romans showed us how to build what? You should know this when you listen. They showed us how to transport water via what? So you need to know. They showed us how to heat what? We still play Roman games such as what? Roman numerals are still used on. So you need to read as we did now before listening, because this is going to help you when you listen.
Track 41.
Part 2.
The Romans were skilled engineers and builders. They showed us how to build straight roads and how to transport water via aqueducts, bridges that carry water. They were the very first civilization to heat houses with central heating. Children loved to play in ancient Rome, and we still play many of the games they played today, such as dice games, board games, marbles, and hide and seek. The Roman number system, called Roman numerals, is also still used around the world. We can still see them on clock faces, in kings and queens' names, and even in the Super Bowl numbering.
I believe that some of my students whom I know, they have written some notes. I know that some of you, I wish that all of you care very much for that. Okay, let's go to 1.
Track 41.
Okay.
Part 2.
The Romans were skilled engineers and builders. They showed us how to build straight roads and how to transport water via aqueducts, bridges that carry water. They were the very first civilization to heat houses with central heating. Children loved to play in ancient Rome, and we still play many of the games they played today, such as dice games, board games, marbles, and hide and seek. The Roman number system, called Roman numerals, is also still used around the world. We can still see them on clock faces, in kings and queens' names, and even in the Super Bowl numbering.
Okay, now again we come to listening again. This is one of our objectives, that you should listen. So again, to make listening very effective and good, what you should do first, you should read these words first, the questions. Circle the topic he talks about below. So read the topic: jobs, houses, entertainment, clothes, food. You should know them. Why? Because when he is going to speak, you are going to know to make a circle or a square or whatever, underline the topic. 4, you're going to listen again and take the words which are the clues: leisure time, work, kites, traditional food, dolls, apartments, togas, ball games. Okay, let's listen.
Track 66.
I found out that the ancient Romans loved playing games in their leisure time. They played ball games, and they enjoyed flying kites on windy days too. Boys liked to play war games, and girls played with dolls made of material or clay. Both boys and girls loved to play a game called Tali. Nowadays, it's called Knucklebones. In Tali, players roll 4 four-sided dice, with the sides marked 1, 3, 4, and 6. Most of the scoring was based on numerical value. The pieces were usually made from animal bones, but were also made of silver, gold, marble, glass, and wood. The 4 tali were dropped from a height onto a table or the floor, and the score was calculated from the numbers on the sides facing up.
So now, what is the topic? Yes, entertainment. Okay, so what words did they use for clues? Okay, first leisure time, kites, dolls, and ball games. Now this is for your homework. You are going to the activity book page 81. You are going to listen again to 66, 68. All right, and you are going. Yes, it's it's 66. All right, the clip, the audio clip is 66. All right, this is gonna be on your CD, or you just can replay the same audio here. Okay, and answer these 5 questions. And they are already answered here, but I just pause the video, try to answer them, and come back to me, or just move quickly here. Okay, now we come to the Roman numerals. Okay, they are very important, and I care very much for them. Look at the Roman numerals. Write Roman numerals for your portion to work out. You can't write it; just write it for yourself. All right.
Romans
Okay.
showed numbers into the thousands using these 7 symbols. I for 1, V for 5, and so on. We still see Roman numerals on some clocks and buildings. They work like this. I for 1, I for 2, I for 3. And then, to make 4, they put a 1 in front of a 5 to mean 1 less than 5. Then V for 5. Then VI, meaning 1 more than 5, for 6. Did you see that? Putting 1 before 5 makes 4, but putting it after 5 makes 6. 7. 8. And then to make 9, they put a 1 in front of a 10 to mean 1 less than 10. Then X for 10. XI for 11. Putting 1 before 10 makes 9, but putting it after 10 makes 11. 12, and so on. Example: XXXIV means 34. 3 X's means 3 10s. Then a 1 in front of the 5 means 4. Together, that is 34. When we reach 40, we put a 10 in front of a 50 to mean 10 less than 50. Then L for 50, LX for 60, and so on. To make 90, put a 10 in front of a 100 to mean 10 less than 100. Example: XCIX. 10 less than 100 means 90. Then 1 less than 10 means 9. Together, that is 99. C is 100. CC is 200. CCC is 300. And CD means 400. Why? Because it is 100 less than 500. D is 500. And so on. Lastly, we come to M, which means 1,000. Example: MCMIX. M is 1,000. CM is 100 less than 1,000, so 900. IX is 1 less than 10, so 9. Together, that is 1,909. To convert to Roman numerals, break the number into thousands, hundreds, tens, and units. Then convert each. Example: 1984. Break it into 1,000, 900, 80, and 4. 1,000 is M. 900 is CM. 80 is LXXX. And 4 is IV. Done.
Like the video, and in this slide here you can see from 2000 until 2029. All right, so you can try them on your own. Try some numbers. All right. For your homework, you are going to answer the activity book page 81. You are going to apply this on it. We are going to answer number 1 together. So as you see here, these are 3 after the V, so there are 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so this is 8. You are going to answer the other 2. Also, another homework is speaking. Present something. You present something, for example, life in your country in ancient times. Speak about Saudi Arabia in history, or choose a period of history and speak about it. You don't have to speak about a certain country. If you don't want to speak about Saudi Arabia, you can speak about anything else. You master the presentation about it. If you're sure about the topic, about any country you want to speak about. All right. Research also, you can do this or that. Clothing, food, housing, jobs, anything like that. You can find some pictures to put it in your presentation. We don't have a class here. You can compare the past and the present. You can talk for 3 minutes. Okay. Thank you very much.